There will come a moment in your life not marked by celebration, not framed by clarity, when everything inside you whispers, there's more. More than this routine, more than this paycheck, more than these limits you've accepted as truth. You will feel it, not as a scream, but as a quiet ache, a soul-level reminder that your dreams did not come to you by accident. And in that moment, you will face a decision that will define you. Do you rise and fight for that vision? Or do you return to the safety of average? The tragedy of life is not that we die. It's that too many of us never live, not truly, not fully, not on fire. We settle into roles. We compromise. We negotiate with the future. And we slowly let the dream inside us die of neglect. But not you. You didn't come here to blend in. You didn't come here to obey the script. You came here to build something eternal. And dreams, real dreams, don't whisper forever. If ignored, they begin to fade. But if honored, if protected, if fought for, they become unstoppable. This is your wake-up call. To remember who you are. To remember what it is you once dared to want. Not the watered-down version. Not the version approved by society. But the raw, wild, electric truth of your dream. The one that kept you up at night. The one that gave you chills. The one that made you feel alive. That dream is still waiting for you, but it won't come easy. Dreams are earned through clarity, through courage, through conflict. Because the moment you declare, this is what I want, the world won't hand it to you. It will test you. It will throw resistance in your path. Doubt, delay, disappointment. It will ask, how badly do you want this? How much of your old self are you willing to bury to birth something new? And your answer cannot be words. It must be action. Every day, you must rise and fight. Not with noise, not with empty ambition, but with alignment. With the discipline to show up when motivation is gone. With the belief to keep going when no one understands. With the vision to build when nothing around you yet reflects the future you see. Because that's the cost of greatness. Not comfort, but commitment. Not attention, but endurance. And if you dare to keep moving, to keep building, to keep breaking, to keep becoming, you will see what few ever see. You will see the dream become real. You will touch what once only lived in your imagination. But it begins with the fight. The daily, invisible, soul-level war to protect what's sacred to you. That fight starts in the mind, because the first battlefield is always within. Before you overcome circumstances, you must overcome yourself. The doubt that whispers, you're not enough. The fear that screams, you'll fail. The past that claws at your ankles, reminding you of every mistake. But your mind trained, strengthened, disciplined becomes your most powerful weapon. And you train it through choice. You choose belief over fear. You choose clarity over confusion. You choose action over excuse. And each of those choices, no matter how small, sharpens your edge. Because belief is not a feeling. Belief is a decision you reaffirm with every step. You say, this is my dream, and I will not let it die in the hands of fear. That belief shapes your habits. And habits, they build your identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So you craft your life like a warrior preparing for battle. You wake early. You train your body. You sharpen your skills. You master your craft. Because you know, one day the opportunity will come. And you must be ready. You must be undeniable. And readiness isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows. In the hours when no one is watching. In the reps when no one is clapping. In the late nights and early mornings when everything in you says rest, and you reply, not yet. Because purpose demands sacrifice. And when you live on purpose, you stop being available to everything that doesn't align. You stop chasing approval. You stop scrolling for escape. You stop participating in mediocrity because you are building something holy and distractions are no longer welcome. You become ruthless with your time, not out of arrogance, but out of respect. You respect your calling too much to waste another day. And when you live that way, dialed in, turned on, fully present, your life becomes different. People feel your standard before they hear your story. You no longer blend into the room. You become the room. You walk with a presence that says, I know who I am. I know why I'm here. And I'm willing to bleed for what I believe in. That is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Not talent, not luck, but fire. The fire to keep going when it's thankless. To keep building when it's lonely. To keep believing when the dream still looks like a fantasy to everyone else. And if you refuse to quit, you cannot lose. Because the world eventually moves out of the way for the person who keeps showing up. That's the secret. Not brilliance, persistence. The refusal to fold. The refusal to accept less. The refusal to betray the dream. And every day that you choose to fight, the gap between where you are and where you're going shrinks. Not always visibly, but always faithfully. Because every rep, every hour, every small step becomes a vote for the future you're creating. And when the votes are stacked high enough, the vision becomes inevitable. You will look back, not in disbelief, but in reverence, because you'll know what it cost, and you'll know you were worth it. You were worth the fight. You were worth the effort. You were worth the pain of growth, the sting of sacrifice, the weight of discipline, because you became the person your dream required. And now, you are the dream. You are the embodiment of what once felt unreachable. You are the proof that destiny is not handed down, it is forged in the fire of relentless days and sleepless nights. You didn't wait for the stars to align. You aligned yourself. You didn't pray for the path to appear. You became the path. And in doing so, you've stepped into a rare frequency, the frequency of those who don't beg life to be easier, but build themselves to be stronger. Because somewhere along the way, the dream changed. It wasn't just something you chased anymore. It became something you guarded. Something sacred. Not a goal, but a calling. Not a wish, but a war. And you made the vow, I will not betray this. Not for fear, not for comfort, not for the approval of those who've never built anything. Because you finally understood the dream doesn't belong to the most gifted. It belongs to the most committed, to those willing to crawl when others quit, to those who fight through confusion, push through pain, and refuse to let apathy win. Every day, every decision, a strike of the chisel, carving your name into the stone of legacy. And now the stone speaks. It tells the world of someone who showed up when it was hard, of someone who didn't let failure define them, of someone who chose to become the person their younger self needed and their future self would revere. This is not hype. This is heritage. This is the bloodline of the builders, the leaders, the legends, those who refuse to die with their song still inside them. And now, it's your turn to carry that fire forward. Not someday. Now, because the time for playing small is over. The time for apologizing is over. The time for waiting is done. This is the season where you take up space, where you own your gift, where you fight not just to prove something to the world, but to fulfill the contract your soul signed the day your dream was born. And if you ever doubt again, if the storm rages, if the silence gets loud, if the climb feels endless, remember this. You were not built for easy. You were built for impact. And impact is forged in the dark. So walk through the shadows. Walk through the fear. Walk through the fire. And don't you dare stop until the dream you saw in your spirit is the life you live with, your eyes wide open. This is your moment. This is your mountain. Fight for it. Every breath, every step. And when you fight not once, not twice, but endlessly, faithfully, ruthlessly, the universe begins to bend. Not because it favors you, but because it respects you. It respects those who don't flinch when they're ignored. who don't retreat when they're ridiculed, who don't fold when the finish line moves farther. It respects those who say, I don't care how long it takes, I will not leave this battlefield until the dream is mine. Because this is not just about success. It's about becoming undeniable. It's about stepping into rooms with your shoulders square, your heart steady, your spirit silent and firm, because you know who you are and what you've been through to stand there. You carry your war stories like armor, not to boast, but to remind yourself you've survived every version of yourself that once wanted to quit. And that alone makes you unstoppable. Because when a person has walked through fire and emerged with clarity, nothing can touch them. Not opinions, not rejection, not failure. They've already faced the worst and chose to rise anyway. You are that person now. Not perfect, but proven. Not finished, but forged. Every tear, every lonely grind, every no that shook your confidence, every door that closed it was carving something indestructible in you. And now you wear it in your decisions, in your discipline, in your dedication. This is no longer about getting there. This is about staying here, grounded, focused, faithful to the process, because the person who builds the dream with their bare hands doesn't fear starting over. They've already done it, and they know the fire inside them burns longer than any storm around them. So fight with joy, with rage, with reverence. Fight because you are no longer willing to sit silently while your soul decays in comfort. Fight because the cost of not becoming who you were meant to be is a price far greater than failure. Fight because your dream, that one that chose you, is still breathing, waiting, burning, and you, warrior of purpose, are ready now. Not someday, not later, not when things are perfect, but now. So stand up, breathe deep, lock eyes with the mountain, and fight for your dreams, because they are not just possibilities. They are promises, and they belong to the one bold enough to bleed for them. And when you bleed for them, when you give your effort, your faith, your fire, something sacred happens. You no longer chase your dream. You merge with it. It becomes part of your breath, your rhythm, your very identity. And from that place, you no longer ask, will I make it? You know you will, because you've already paid the price in silence. You've already sacrificed who you were for who you're becoming. You've already died to the version of yourself that could settle. And what remains now is not hope, it's certainty. A deep, unshakable conviction that says, I'm not here to wish, I'm not here to wait, I'm here to build. So you rise. You rise before the world wakes. You rise when the weight is heavy. You rise when the voices in your head beg you to turn back. You rise not because it's easy, but because you've chosen the narrow road where few dare to walk. The road of mastery, the road of meaning, the road that demands everything and gives you everything real in return. Because nothing compares to the feeling of standing in a life you built with intention. Nothing matches the peace of knowing you fought for what was yours. And one day, long after the applause fades, long after the achievements are forgotten, someone will sit quietly across from you and ask, how did you do it? And you won't speak of luck. You won't speak of shortcuts. You'll smile with that rare kind of peace earned through war, and you'll say, I fought for it every single day, when it was hard, when it was silent, when no one clapped. I fought when I had nothing left but one more breath, and I used that breath to take the next step. And in that moment, they will understand that the dream is not given, it is summoned through sweat, through scars, through sacred persistence. You are not here to impress. You are here to impact. You are not here to survive. You are here to create. So don't just dream. Fight. Fight until your reflection honors your vision. Fight until your daily routine reflects your destiny. Fight until the life you live is louder than the dreams you once whispered to yourself in the dark. Because your dreams are not illusions. They are instructions. They are blueprints from your soul. And now you know they don't come to pass by wishing. They come to pass when you decide once and for all to fight for them. So if there's breath in your lungs, the battle is not over. If your heart still beats with longing, if even one ember of that dream still glows in the ashes, then you have a mandate from within. Do not retreat. Not now. Not ever. Because the most dangerous person in the room is the one who has nothing left to prove, only something left to build. And that's you now. You've walked through the fire, you've been broken and rebuilt. You've faced days when everything in you said stop, and you didn't. You kept going, kept believing, kept breathing, even when every breath was a war. And now you're not just chasing greatness. You are wearing it in your focus, in your discipline, in the way you walk into each day, like it owes you nothing and you owe it everything. You understand now, this isn't about what you get. It's about what you give. Your time, your heart, your energy, your mind, your devotion. Because you don't dabble in your dream. You are devoted to it. The world doesn't need another wishful thinker. It needs you fully awakened, fully committed, fully alive. So if you've fallen, rise again. If you've doubted, believe again. If you've delayed, decide again. And if you've forgotten who you are, remember again. You are a warrior, a builder, a dreamer with teeth. You are the one who shows the world what it means to fight with purpose, to love with conviction, to live with soul. And when it's all said and done, when the dust settles and your name is spoken, let it be said that you were the one who never gave up, that you were the one who stood when others sat, who worked when others whined, who fought when others folded. Let your story be a fire that outlives you. Let your life scream into eternity. I fought for my dreams, and I won. And what you won wasn't just success. It wasn't just status, not money, not fame, not recognition. What you won was yourself, your true self, the one buried under years of noise, fear, expectation, and delay, the one who had been waiting patiently, silently, for you to remember who you are and why you came here. That's the ultimate reward. Not the house, not the title, not the crowd, but the mirror. That moment you look at your reflection and no longer see a stranger. That moment you no longer flinch when someone says leader or example or warrior because you know they're talking about you. Because you earned that name in the dark. And now that name is yours to carry. So carry it with power. Carry it with humility. Carry it with the understanding that your fight, the one the world never saw, gave you a strength most will never know. And that strength is no longer just yours. It's a light, a legacy, a signal fire to others, stuck in the shadow of their own doubt. They'll look at you and wonder how you did it, how you made it through, how you climbed from nothing, how you kept going when every logical voice said quit. And you'll tell them with fire in your eyes and conviction in your chest, I stopped negotiating with my potential. I stopped asking for permission. I stopped hoping the dream would survive on its own. I made the decision to fight every day, in every way, with everything I had. And you'll mean it. Because this wasn't a journey you took for show. This was a soul-wrought, fire-forged transformation. And now that you've stepped fully into who you are, there is no going back. So walk forward, not with hesitation, but with thunder in your steps. You've earned the right to stand tall, to speak boldly, to live freely. Because you didn't just dream, you fought. And now, you are the dream realized. So let the world watch. Let them wonder. Let them ask how you built all this, the life, the energy, the peace, the power. They'll ask for the secret, the formula, the path. But you know better, because it was never about steps. It was about standards. It was about the standard you set the day you said, I will no longer betray my potential. That was the day the world shifted. The day fate tilted in your favor. The day you stopped living as a reaction and started creating on purpose. And from that day on, you were different. You saw through the lies that keep people small. You stopped waiting for clarity and became the clarity. You stopped begging for opportunity and created your own. You stopped fearing failure because you learned failure is just proof that you're alive enough to try. That's the code the world won't teach you, but you've learned it now. And it is simple. Dreams are not owed. Dreams are earned through relentless focus, through unshakable belief, through daily action, even when it's silent, even when it's unseen, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because the real test is not whether you can fight when you're inspired. It's whether you can fight when you're tired. When the spark is gone, when the path feels unclear, when the dream feels distant, that's where the champions are separated from the spectators. That's where legacies are written not in ink, but in discipline. And now your discipline speaks for you. You don't have to shout. You don't have to sell. You just move with presence, with power, with a rhythm built on truth. Because this fight was never about anyone else. It was always about you, about meeting the highest version of yourself and refusing to walk away from that encounter. And now, as you stand not at the end, but on higher ground, you carry more than a dream. You carry proof that it's possible, that it's worth it, that no matter where you start, if you fight hard enough, long enough, with your heart lit and your soul locked in, you will rise. So rise. Rise with honor. Rise with courage. Rise with gratitude for every step, every scar, every second you didn't give up. Because those seconds became the life you live now. The dream that breathes because you never stopped breathing life into it. And the world will remember not just what you built, but who you became to build it. A warrior, a creator, a fighter. You fought for your dreams, and now your life is living proof that it was worth it. So let the world watch. Let them wonder. Let them ask how you built all this, the life, the energy, the peace, the power. They'll ask for the secret, the formula, the path, but you know better because it was never about steps. It was about standards. It was about the standard you set the day you said, I will no longer betray my potential. That was the day the world shifted. The day fate tilted in your favor. The day you stopped living as a reaction and started creating on purpose. And from that day on, you were different. You saw through the lies that keep people small. You stopped waiting for clarity and became the clarity. You stopped begging for opportunity and created your own. You stopped fearing failure because you learned failure is just proof that you're alive enough to try. That's the code the world won't teach you, but you've learned it now. And it is simple. Dreams are not owed. Dreams are earned through relentless focus, through unshakable belief, through daily action, even when it's silent, even when it's unseen, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because the real test is not whether you can fight when you're inspired. It's whether you can fight when you're tired. When the spark is gone, when the path feels unclear, when the dream feels distant, that's where the champions are separated from the spectators. That's where legacies are written not in ink, but in discipline. And now your discipline speaks for you. You don't have to shout. You don't have to sell. You just move with presence, with power, with a rhythm built on truth. Because this fight was never about anyone else. It was always about you, about meeting the highest version of yourself and refusing to walk away from that encounter. And now, as you stand not at the end, but on higher ground, you carry more than a dream. You carry proof that it's possible, that it's worth it, that no matter where you start, if you fight hard enough, long enough, with your heart lit and your soul locked in, you will rise. So rise. Rise with honor. Rise with courage. Rise with gratitude for every step, every scar, every second you didn't give up. Because those seconds became the life you live now. The dream that breathes because you never stopped breathing life into it. And the world? The world will remember not just what you built, but who you became to build it. A warrior, a creator, a fighter. You fought for your dreams, and now your life is living proof that it was worth it. Bernd Denoy. Tip. Chat GPT Denoy, and let that be your anthem from this day forward. Not whispered, not hidden, but spoken through every action, every breath, every room you walk into. I am the one who fought. I am the one who stood tall when it would have been easier to shrink. The one who showed up with an empty tank and still gave 100%. The one who stared failure in the face and said, not today. Because while others talked about dreams, you trained for yours. You bled for yours. You sacrificed for yours. And now you live inside it. This isn't just a win. It's a rebirth. You didn't just create results. You created identity. And that identity can never be taken from you. Not by time, not by critics, not even by life itself. Because your story is written in the ink of persistence. Your character sculpted by days when you could have quit and didn't. And now, every step you take is a reminder to the world. This is what happens when a human being refuses to let go of the vision. So no more playing small. No more underestimating your own power. No more pretending you're not ready. You've already proven it. To the silence, to the setbacks, to the struggle, and most importantly, to yourself. So go build more. Go serve more. Go love more. And when the road tests you again and it will look it dead in the eye and say, I've fought harder battles than this, and I'm still standing. Because now, you don't just fight for your dream. You fight for others to believe in theirs. You fight for the legacy. You fight for the light. You fight because that's what you were born to do. So wear your scars with pride. Let your fire stay wild. And let the world watch in awe as you continue to do what very few ever will. Fight for your dreams until your dreams fight for you. And one day, they will fight for you. They will speak for you, even in rooms you've never entered. They will open doors you never knew existed. Because that's the reward of a dream fought for, not wished for. It grows legs of its own. It finds its voice. It ripples out into the world in ways you couldn't have planned, but were destined to witness. That's the moment when your name becomes more than a name. It becomes a symbol of what's possible, of what it looks like when a human being fully commits to their higher calling. You become the story others tell themselves when they're ready to rise. They won't remember every detail. They won't see every scar, but they will feel what you stood for. And that feeling, that is eternal. Because a life fought for a dream earned, not inherited, echoes beyond the timeline of your years. It becomes part of the human blueprint, a code for courage, a standard for greatness, a flame passed to every soul hungry for more. So as you stand in this moment, aware of who you've become, aligned with where you're headed, do one thing. Bow to nothing, not to fear, not to pressure, not to the past. Bow only to the mission, to the discipline, to the daily decision to keep building, keep climbing, keep becoming, because you're not finished. You're just beginning. Every dream you've realized is now a foundation for something even bigger. And as long as your heart still burns, as long as your hands still build, as long as your breath still draws purpose, then you, warrior, still have more to fight for. So fight. For every child who was told they weren't enough. For every dreamer buried beneath doubt. For every version of you that almost gave up. Fight because it's in your blood now. You don't quit. You rise. And from this moment forward, when the world hears your name, let it be a reminder that dreams are real. And those who fight for them, They change the world.